So irrational fear of chickens, where do you think that comes from?
Well, I guess it's really probably not completely irrational. When I was about six, we lived, one of the many houses we lived in growing up was a farm. And we had, farm has chickens. So we had this rooster. And this rooster uh, was not terribly friendly. And being the kind of child that I was, I was always pretty adventurous as a kid. So I was out. I always played outside. I was always outside. You could not keep me inside. So I was out in the barnyard one day, and I decided that I was just going to kind of, walk like the rooster was walking. So I was, mocking the rooster and kind of walking like it did. And apparently it didn't like that very much. So it decided it was going to chase me and attack me. So by the end of the fiasco, I was bloody and sitting up on top of this fence. And it didn't end well for the rooster. I will say that. My dad killed it, and we had it for dinner. And but since that time, I have not really I've not liked chickens at all. And pretty much any large fowl makes me extremely nervous. I mean, even to the point where when I was dating my husband, my current husband, we were walking and walking through a neighborhood. I mean, like a development neighborhood. There should not be chickens. There should not be chickens in this neighborhood. There would be no reason for there to be chickens in this neighborhood. I'm talking in town. There's no farms. And we are taking a walk. And literally, I'm not kidding. This is not a joke. Literally, a chicken walks out of somebody's backyard and walks across the road right in front of us. And I have never in my life, and I'm not a small woman, and never in my life have I moved so quickly. And I literally, my husband is 6'4", literally tried to climb up him like a tree. I, pouring down sweat at this point. And I'm like, I have, and I can't speak. I'm stammering, some weird, there's a chicken. And he's like, what is happening? Because I mean, granted, he's kind of surprised there's a chicken in the middle of the road, literally walking across the road. And my thought is, why the hell is there a chicken crossing the road? Not a joke. And he's like, we hadn't been dating long. And he's like, why is this woman climbing me, stammering and sweating? What is happening? I'm literally having a panic attack. So yeah, I mean, and this was, I'm, at the time, 42 years old, and I'm shimmying up him like a, lunatic. And yeah, so I still, to this day, that many years later, am quite terrified of chickens. It didn't bother me. It didn't even turn and look our way. I mean, it just was minding its own business crossing. I still have never figured out where the chicken came from, why it crossed the road, and where it went.
And
Never saw it again.
you believe it all stems from that first bloody experience?
Absolutely. I still have a scar on my leg. Still have a scar on my leg from that, where that thing nailed me. And I have other experiences with chickens, and they've never attacked me ever since. But I mean, it's like, I took care of a farm for a friend of mine when I was when I was in early college. And of course, I went out there to take care of their horses, but it also involved feeding their stupid chickens. And, chickens get really excited when you feed them. And I swear, I mean, I did it, but I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I mean, it brought out moves that I didn't know I had. I mean, like ninja, shrieking noises, because they just come running at you, and it's like they just want fed. But I thought I was going to have a heart attack every time. I hated it. That was the worst part of my day by far. I thought, I'm never going to survive this week of feeding these stupid chickens. And every morning I would just go into these karate moves, and it was awful. So yeah.
Any way of working with yourself to to eliminate this?
Well, I did manage. I did manage to hold my decorum one time because I had to. It was a professional thing. Um, Before I became a therapist, I worked as a home visitor. I worked with really young children and in a program called Early Head Start. So I would go out to their homes and I would work with the children and their parents on developmental stuff. And um, so I had been working with a family, and the family had gone through a divorce. So where before I would go to the home of, the apartment where the parents were sharing, when the family went through a divorce, I would sometimes go to the moms and then sometimes go to the dad. Well, the dad had moved back in with his parents, who, guess what, lived on a farm, who also, by the way, believed in free range chickens. I did not know this when I went to their home. So I get out of the car at their home. And, the little boy at this time, it was like a 0 to 3 program. So the little boy's like 2.5 years old. And so I get out of the car and I go around to the trunk to get the basket of things that I had taken. And I look up and I'm surrounded by chickens. And I'm like, oh my God. And, here's this little boy standing at his door. Hi, Miss Jana. So I can't panic. I can't panic in front of this little 2-year-old boy and, karate chop there's chickens. That would just be totally wrong. So I did have to, I didn't even realize at the time, I wasn't a trained counselor. I'd never really dealt with my irrational fear of chickens. I never had to. I just, did my moves. But no, I just, I did. I found actually deep breathing really works because that's what I did. I stood at the back of my car, just like took several deep breaths and thought, I can do this. I can walk from my car, not run in a panic, shrieking fit of terror. I could do this. And I just kind of talked my way through it. So I can, and if I had to, I could probably work my way down. And I think the time with Neil, my husband, I think it was just so I just wasn't, who expects a chicken to cross the road in the middle of a suburban development? So that was my thing there. I think I probably would have been okay. I just didn't. So I think now if I had to, and as long as they're caged, I'm fine. Don't you expect, I will never own chickens. He's asked me to. He thinks that would be great. So maybe that'll be my therapy. Maybe someday if we move out into the country, maybe we'll own chickens. Maybe I'll work towards that.